Hey, everybody, I'm Drew,
Hello there, I'm Josh.
Greetings, I'm Dale.
and this is Sexy Nerd Science, Season 4, Episode 17.
That is 4. Oh, yeah.
Today, we're coming down from a Colorado Springs high, and that is
I've
not
been coming down all week, man.
That's the literalest thing you've ever said.
Yeah.
There was a joke when Dale's father-in-law was like, oh, you guys are a mile high, right? And I was going to be like, not high enough.
Boom.
Yeah.
We're just first recording after Colorado Springs Comic-Con. We'll get into that a little later. But first, Sexy Nerd Science is brought to you by Audible.com. You can use our audibletrial.com / Sexy Nerd Science link to check out a free Audible trial. Not that it works anyway. Dale, you want to talk about this little bit of sexy news here?
Yeah, no problem.
Another sexy news. Let's just get this straight. We talked about this when we were in the con. It's just the only place where we can put it.
It's not even the only place where we can put it. It's just like the best place to put it is at the top of the show.
In memoriam.
Yeah, I guess we could do it in memoriam before sexy.
That's all right.
Well, I mean, then it would be called, Memoriam Sexy Nerd Science.
Can we cut to, do you remember?
No, that's...
Dun, 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 dun.
So, for those of you guys who don't know, John McCain passed away, I believe, sometime last week. Don't know the exact time. Did not write it down.
It was
Sunday.
It was Sunday of Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Oh, it was. Okay, so it was literally a week and a day ago from recording this. So it was the 26th of August. He was laid to rest yesterday, Sunday the 1st. He was obviously a presidential candidate back in 2008, and he also was a U.S. Senator. So he was laid to rest just recently with a huge funeral in 2 locations, I believe. He was in Washington, D.C., but do you guys know where the other one was?
I think it was in Phoenix, in Arizona,
Phoenix?
where he was.
Okay.
It might not be in Phoenix, but I thought around that area in Arizona at least.
Okay. So definitely those 2 places. I just wanted to touch base on that. And, with a lot of political satire going around with different, opinions on both sides, John McCain fought a race that was respectable by both sides when he was presidential candidate.
He did something that almost was almost unprecedented in biracial candidate race and even just a regular race, is that he didn't slander Obama and stuck up for him during slander by his by people who were behind him running as well, which I've never seen any footage of any other president doing that. Not even, you have those not slander ads, but what is it, like smear campaigns?
Yeah.
That happen all the time, whether or not they happen with him or not. When people were talking bad about Obama, he said, no, don't worry about that.
It was definitely one of those campaigns that I paid a lot of attention to. So for those people that are our age, the 2008 election was one of the first that, after graduating high school in 2007, I spent the entire year of 2008 watching debates. There were college parties that I went to where we're watching debates between presidential debates, vice presidential debates.
Was it not the first presidential election that the millennials could vote in?
Pretty much. I think
it would have been from 1998 or 1980 to 2000.
No, 19. So I was 18 in 2008. I had just turned 18 September prior to Election Day.
Yes, but the millennial is from 1980 to 2000, right?
Yes.
So 1980.
Able to go to the 2004
Some of them.
Okay, 2004.
I think millennial is like 80s, like late 80s, not early 80s.
Yeah.
But
Either
anyway.
way. But it was still something that I definitely watched a lot of the campaign. It was, I feel like there was something different. Like it wasn't until after that election that I felt like things really started making a change. The Mitt Romney Obama election was not something that I felt was handled the same way as the McCain Obama election. Dale and I were just talking about it. I mean, we remember listening to the news on election day. We were listening to the radio on election day, go figure, to get results for the election, because we still weren't able to get very good service on our cell phones driving.
That was back in 3G
Michigan
days.
Yeah.
3G. I mean, I still had, I think, a slider up phone.
No, we bought our iPhones in 2000.
Did we?
Yep.
Okay.
July. I guess,
Dale
we
had
didn't
an
have, we didn't have
iPhone?
our iPhones. You're right. Because I had my my flip phone.
I thought I had my Sony Ericsson. My
July 2008 was the iPhone 3GS is what me and Dale, or 3G that me and Dale just both got at the same time. It was our first iPhones.
Dale had
last iPhone too.
That was not your last iPhone, was it?
Yeah, 3G was my last iPhone.
Yes.
Then I went to remember that HTC you just gave me?
Yeah.
That was my second one, or that was my second smartphone.
That's crazy.
But it was interesting to see that John McCain was one of those people that, like you were saying, in I believe it was like a town hall meeting he was in, like someone was like, Barack Obama's a Muslim, and he's like, whoa, like, what are you talking about? Like, that's not true at all. I'm going to stop you right there. I don't want you going on with this, and continued the town hall meeting. And I thought that was very respectable for John McCain.
Yeah. He was like, nope, we'll just take that mic away from you, lady.
Yeah, it was very good. Not something that would fly. I mean, honestly, if something like that were to happen in, this November coming up, like, I would not see the people being like, oh, let's take that back. I don't think he's really a Muslim. Like,
Yeah. Whichever. But yeah, so John McCain, great guy. Never met him, but everybody else says he's great. So
that wasn't the only big funeral too this weekend either. In Detroit, there was a big funeral. Dale, I know, was probably flooding all your news over there, as well as your. The streets were littered with pink Cadillacs, from what I heard. It was so Aretha Franklin.
it was she was this weekend too.
That was this weekend too in Detroit.
The
funeral same place that Rosa Parks had her funeral at was the same place that Aretha Franklin had hers as
That's
well.
awesome.
So unfortunately I don't know that much about it without actually looking it up, but it was she passed away August 16th in Detroit, and I know with the pink Chevys is what she was talking about were the Mary Kay vehicles.
Oh,
So people who get like over 1,000 orders or $1,000 worth of whatever has the option to get a Mary Kay car or got one.
It's
So
a
these
pink
are all
Yeah.
well,
what now?
a lot
It's
of
a pink Cadillac.
Okay, so yeah, so they brought them in just for that, and so all the family and the main people with them came to bring those bring the people to and from the
She
funeral.
had a song about a pink Cadillac back in the day. By the way,
Did she?
yes, yep.
Yeah.
This was the Queen of Soul. Just for those that need, she huge Motown hits. I remember probably 2 years ago she did the Lions for Thanksgiving, the national anthem, and really drug out that national anthem for like 14 minutes. It was a good one. I think
2015.
Was it 2015 national anthem for the
I'm
Lions?
sorry, 2016 Ford Field.
Yeah, it was good. It was really good.
She also sang at the 2009 inauguration of President Obama.
Yep, I remember that too. Just great for well known for being a huge name in the African American community and the community of Detroit as well,
in the music industry.
for sure.
So that's actually I thought that she would have already been, I guess, prior to the weekend, because she passed away right before the Comic-Con weekend.
Yeah, it
was
was right when
It was
I
like
was
Thursday when we were driving in.
Well, I was in Michigan when she
Oh,
passed
was it?
away. Yeah, because it was the day before my birthday.
Okay, well, while you were in Michigan, you guys also attended a little other thing. What do you guys want to talk about that?
It was not little, I can tell you that. That was my first takeaway, is how it was not little. Yeah, Dale and I were able to go to the Michigan Comic-Con at Cobo Hall in downtown Detroit. It was What else was going on in Detroit that weekend too? It was
there was a electronic music festival right at Hart Plaza, which is not even a quarter mile away. It's literally part of the same complex Cobo Hall's in.
That's what was going on too.
Also the Woodward Dream Cruise, but that was more down in like Royal Oak, that area down there. So we really didn't get that many. We probably saw a few nice cars, but nothing really into the Dream Cruise at all.
Yeah, there was the muscle car area, I guess, was downtown though, by the Fist of Detroit.
But I agree with Josh. It was not a small convention. The convention center is one of the biggest convention centers in North America. And with the convention center, it's broken up into 4 major parts. 3 are relatively the same size, and the 4th one's just a little smaller. And we were in the C, which was the last one. And that one was relatively big. It's probably half the size of the Motor City Comic-Con, but the Motor City one was just way overpacked. I don't want to talk about the Motor City one. Let's talk about the pros of the Michigan Comic-Con at least. It was easy to get in and out. It was, you had the concourse of Cobo, had tons of food, tons of place to sit, tons of place to charge your smartphones. Easy to get to and from, as far as there's not a lot of parking except on the roof. Right near the area. So if you wanted to go within the city, the whole city was booming that day. Josh was impressed with like half the things that were going on. And
it was for Comic-Con too, though. Like that was the thing that was crazy. Like,
yeah, it was really cool.
From the casino while we were going to Comic-Con, and I was like, they've got nerd backpacks. I bet they're going to Comic-Con. And they totally were. And then like even at the stop, there was dude with a Thanos glove. Yeah, I like that. So the good thing I like about Cobo is that you can take the People Mover right into it.
The People Mover is like a monorail thing in Detroit that we have.
It's an elevated track, an L track.
That's why I said monorail. What is a monorail?
I'm just kidding, Dale. I wanted to say an L track because I used to call it the L, and you guys made fun of me all the time.
The L?
Yeah, because in Chicago it's called the L.
Oh, I don't go to Chicago.
Elevated tracks. Whatever. But it was the exact same thing, and it was fantastic. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Dale. I was just...
Nope. If for the YouTube video, I'll try to post pictures right here with some of the pictures I took of the con, some of the layout. Like it looked just like a normal con. Nothing, I guess, stood out as far as that. But we did meet a bunch of cool people. We met there was a podcast company in Detroit. I'm rocking their shirt right now. They do a bunch of they are like a podcast company, so they have a bunch of people that come in and let you use their space to record podcasts. And I thought that was a neat idea.
Pretty much exactly what I would like to do in Omaha.
Exactly. I think Josh talked about that a little bit.
Sounds like they're getting some of that space going too.
Yeah, and it was really cool. They showed us pictures. We'll link to that as well. But overall, the
podcast, actually, we were talking about that. They said they'd be down to podcast with us too from their setup. So it'd be kind of cool to get some cross video going of what their setup looks like versus, obviously we're not going to show them what we're doing because, I'm proud of this setup we've got right now, but I'm proud of how you guys can perceive it.
Yeah. So it's a lot better.
It's all what you see in this little area over here. Same thing with Dale's room too. I've been in that room right now. And
everything out of shot is just piles of trash.
Dale's
looks like that scene from
Dale's got to go out of his window to get to the rest of his house.
Almost.
Oh, definitely.
But yeah, those guys were really nice to see down there.
Let's talk about.
I got to meet some people too at the con that were fun. I got to meet Billy West again for the second time, who's also a Detroit Metro native. Had no idea until I was talking to him about when we were meeting Rob Paulson and talking about Michigan. He's like, yeah, I grew up, like me and Rob Paulson are friends. Like we grew up just around the street from each other. And I was like, that's crazy. So that was sweet. And then Timothy Zahn, who is the author of the Heir to the Empire and the Thrawn novels for Star Wars, got to meet him. Tried to get a little podcast interview. He was very busy. Could not get that done. But just again, he signed both my copies of the 2 Thrawn books that I have. So I was really excited about that. And then I got a signed thing from Billy West as well from him. So
that's awesome. Dale, did you have anything more to say about?
I thought it was well done. They utilized their space well. Cost was relatively fine. I think a little high, but for the space, they're going to grow into it just fine.
Definite room to grow.
Definitely room to grow. I think for their first con ever, they hit it out of the park, in my opinion.
That's good.
Yeah.
As I say, we've been to a lot.
Speaking of cons, Drew,
Yeah.
I try to do a transition. I never get to do those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say, speaking of cons, if you had one criticism or a con for it, would it be the price there?
I would have to say so. I think it was a little high. I think it was for the whole 3 days. It was $60. I think that's fine. That's perfect. That's a good amount. For one day was $40 on Saturday.
Well, see, people jack up those daily prices or daily prices because they want you to just buy the whole weekend pass.
Oh, I agree, but like if it was 30, 35, I get that. But it was for 3 days for $40. That was a little high, but still for the location where it was, I thought the price was fine for that. I don't know. I can't really think of anything bad about it. The layout was good. I think maybe they had like all the artists in the center. They kind of broke up, where the vendors were. Maybe that was a little weird, but it wasn't a bad thing.
Yeah.
It was very easy to navigate, but it was, like you said, it did feel like it was a little like broken up in a spot there. I thought that was like, we might need more. The panel rooms too, I think were a little hard to get to. I wasn't expecting the panel rooms to be where they were. And then also, I don't think you technically needed your badge to get into the panel rooms.
I think it was how we did it at the other convention at Colorado, is that you're supposed to have a pass to go into the panel rooms, but because it was outside of the area where you got in, you really couldn't. So I don't know. It's kind of, is it really worth yelling at them? Plus, I don't know how big the panels were. I don't know if there was any celebrity panels. Like at Planet Comic-Con, they have like one big panel room for the event room. We're going to call it the event room. I don't know what it's actually called, but that's for like the celebrity. They have like all the big guys there. They have a moderator that actually just has a one-on-one. There's a big multicam setup. It's probably like, how many people do you think could fit in that room? 1,000, maybe 1,500?
The ballroom?
The ballroom.
I bet you could fit 2,000 people.
Yes, so it's relatively huge, and it's always full. So like here, they didn't really have that, or at least I didn't see it. So these were like very like
Motor City?
No,
Michigan.
Michigan.
Yeah, they had the big ballroom still.
Did they?
Yeah, for across the hall. Why all the
Oh, they did. They did have. We didn't go in there though
because they had the cosplay contest. Got there.
Okay, yeah.
We should spring into some higher priority convention real quick here.
Whoa. We want to be invited to Michigan Comic-Con. Cover them as much as we can.
Yeah. We were impressed. We were happy, but yeah, let's move on to Colorado.
Yes.
So we went to Colorado Springs Comic-Con, as we've stated, and
as you might have seen from Facebook,
as you might have also seen
from
from Facebook. Snap. Anyway, so the great thing about Colorado Springs Comic-Con is they are put on by a bigger company. And so they've got a couple different convention sets under their belts, East Coast, West Coast Center, Midwest conventions.
I think it's basically Center and East Coast. I didn't think there was any West Coast.
I thought that they had something out in like Oregon or Washington or something like that. Anyway, they're gonna have some stuff all over basically, is the assumption, world domination and all that. But we'll get into who does that a little later. Dale, first impressions, thoughts on that?
So I'm being very critical. We did work with Project Nerd a lot, and we had a good time. But I do want to speak as far as like about an unbiased opinion about it. I thought there was a lot of pros, but there was like one con that really stood out to me, and I think it was also a big pro. I think the layout was a big thing that caught my eye. I loved it being in a mall. It was in the Chapel Hills, Colorado Springs Mall. I thought it was unique. I thought they did a great job with how they had people like the cosplay guests on the bottom, the celebrities on the bottom, and then they had the main vendors on the top. They did a good job with how everything looked. They did a good job with putting us in the game room. I liked pretty much all of it, but getting into, people were a little bit confused on where to go, where the panel rooms were. They finally got it by the end of the end of the Saturday. They kind of figured that out, but I thought it could have been done a little bit. I don't want to say better. I just want to say maybe the better signs. I'm not sure how they could have fixed it, but it was just something I thought was a little off. But they keep growing as a con, so it's probably never going to be in a mall again, or if it is, in a much bigger mall, well, they'll have more space. But I loved it being in a mall. I loved having foot traffic come by. Tons of people came into the gaming area, all positive. I really enjoyed having the space we did for what we got to do. I know that's a lot, and I probably didn't ask me all those questions.
No, that's first impressions, thoughts, comments. That's same question, Josh.
Yeah. So like Dale said, I thought it was a very unique choice for where everything was at. I don't know if they're going to be able to pull it off again next year, with the way things were, where we were set up, where the panel room was set up, things like that. I think it needs to go to a bigger convention area. But overall, like I said, it was an awesome time. I loved that it was kind of like we were at home with that, like we were it if not Omaha or Detroit or Kansas City, I think Detroit or Denver's and the surrounding area, like Colorado Springs, are another home away from home for us. I liked the proximity that we were to the con. We're about 8 minutes away, not even. So it made it really easy to get there and back. We were all together pretty much the whole time, which I thought was awesome as well. All the people that were with Project Nerd stayed in one spot. So I liked that aspect of it. We got to plan our schedules around just being together for the entire time. And then the guests were fantastic. So the celebrity guests were fantastic. The cosplay guests were awesome. The people just around the convention were awesome. I saw some sweet costumes. I like the setup we had, honestly. It was the best setup I think we've ever had at a convention, with the most reward for what we were putting into it. I think we got the best return on investment from our end, and that was able to help us provide the best return on investment for Colorado Springs Comic-Con and Project Nerd. So it was awesome. It was great for Project Nerd, great for us, great for us. And then, yeah, I loved it. It was probably my favorite con of the year.
I could say that.
I could say that. Drew, what about you?
So, I mean, obviously the same observation, I'll call it, of the mall. Like, you'll hear me say it probably a dozen times in all the interviews. I love that it was in the mall, because if you want to step outside of the conglomerate of people, you don't have to go outside. You can go into the mall.
We should have had Robin Sparkles there.
Oh my God, let's go to the mall.
Let's go to the mall
today. So I like that aspect. We were able to get out. Couple notable things. The food court was available to us. They had food trucks brought in, which was great. Basically they portioned off a side door of the department store that, where the main floor was, and let people go out and, eat off the food trucks and come back in and stuff.
Outhouses there too. Yeah,
they did have the porta potties on the same area. So, I mean, they had no issues with bathrooms or anything like that. I liked that the celebrities had their own kind of floor. I did not necessarily enjoy how some celebrities seemed to be tucked in random spots. I felt like those people should have been given a little bit more priority, specifically. And maybe that was a choice that they requested, being tucked away to where they only had one point of guest entry or anything like that. Because, when you have a lot of rows or anything like that, you've got a lot of access, So maybe that's a thought through choice.
I would have liked a more like forced approach instead of an open layout where like you could go in and go any direction. I would have liked a snaked way where we had to go through it all,
almost like
because I think that would have helped with some other things as well.
Yeah, and that's kind of almost. It almost seemed too sandbox style. There was no like back and forth like in bigger convention halls where they're gridded. It almost seemed like there was a group here, group there, group there, group there, group there.
I thought it was more intimate, which allowed people to get more closer to the celebrities, more closer to the cosplay guests. Where when you go to a regular convention, I won't say regular convention, when you go to a different style convention, you have all the celebrities and cosplayers kind of like lined up on a row. And I don't want to say it's intimidation, but it feels more intimidating to approach them sometimes, or they seem less approachable, not because of who they are, just because of how the setup is. And I think this was a little bit more personable and
there were a whole lot of lines.
Well, and that's kind of what I was saying is like when we were at Planet, or not even Planet, I guess Planet was the last one we went to in Kansas City at Bartle. They had kind of bigger gaps between, so you're looking. I think the intimidating factor part of it is you're looking at them from 40 yards away, and they basically you can see them watching you walk up to them. So it's like almost it's just like, oh my God, they're watching me this whole time. I'm walking up to them. Yeah, oh no. So
exactly,
huh?
Exactly.
So.
I mean, I got to walk right up and talk to Jimmy Walker, which was fantastic.
Which is one of those things where it's not an
genius.
issue as far as like going up to somebody and talking to them, but one of those things where it's like one of those things where it's an observation thing where they're watching you.
Well, after too, like we'd like book people for interviews and be like, all right, I'll see you at this time. And then like I'd have to like double back and like back around again. Yeah. And like every time, like I just felt like, okay, maybe I'm bothering them too much. Like I'm not trying to hover around you guys. Like I'm just trying to make my rounds, and this is the best, least efficient way to do so. But
so the mall aspect kind of brought up a good point. Josh and I had talked about it a little bit to Veronica Taylor and Brittany Karbowski about using rundown malls, or not rundown, but less occupied malls to
repurposing.
Repurposing those malls. Some of them have department stores or anchor stores that are empty. You could use that like they did at Colorado Springs. And then you could almost take that whole wing that ends the department stores, because that was a weird thing. They had like a anchor store like almost in the center of an aisle, whereas ours are typically, at the end of an aisle. You can almost use that whole aisle as panel rooms, as specific, you have a cosplay room. I mean, all the kind of almost similar to how Comic-Con does it and everything like that. But overall, I thought it was great. I really wish that we were able to do a couple more things as far as our setup was concerned. But like Dale said, the best setup we've had as far as, we had multiple camera setups. We had basically a window. I mean, Project Nerd, we worked very closely with them, as, we'll get into that later on in the month here when things get kind of ironed out. But we've always been a Project Nerd podcast. However, we're going to do a little bit more for them from now on. Or at least we hope to, once everything gets ironed out.
We definitely want to say, though, we thought Altered Reality, which was the company that put on Colorado Springs Comic-Con, did a fantastic job. The person we had in contact with, Elijah, mm-hmm. He was phenomenal. He ran around like crazy, making sure everything was good. Did he introduce every panel?
Yes.
Oh, that was great. I really liked that.
He introduced every panel, and then he also moderated like 3, I think. So he introduced the panel, or the moderator, and then the moderator introduced the guest. Typically he did that, which kind of brings us to our next point here. Josh, how did moderating your first celebrity panel go?
Well, I
know how it went.
Yeah,
tell our lovely fans.
I was told that I was going to be moderating a panel about a half hour before I was going to moderate the panel. And that was a good thing and a bad thing. Like, it was good that like it didn't give me enough time to freak out about it, but it was also bad that it didn't give me enough time to freak out about it. And so I remember like my favorite thing was, and this is again to like explain how the convention worked that I loved about it, is like, Josh, you're going to do this panel. And I was like, sweet, I need to go see the sun for like 10 seconds to calm down. Cause like, I'm just like, I was giddy. I was really excited for it. But I was also like, how can I screw this up? And trying to avoid those situations. And when I went outside, like it was cloudy and overcast and just blah. And I was like, oh, great, wrong day. But while I was out there, met 2 other celebrities and had conversations with them. And they're just like, why are you nervous for this panel? You're talking to us just fine. And I was like, yeah, but there's not an audience. That I love to joke around about the audience, but that's really what made my nerves go off, was like, I don't care about interacting with a celebrity one-on-one. I know I can smooth over any bubbles there. But interacting with the celebrity in front of an audience, I thought was going to be tough. Live audience, I should say, because you guys are obviously listening to this. So I got to basically lead the panel for Stefan Kapasik. Was my celebrity guest that I got to moderate the panel for.
And who is he?
He plays Colossus. He's the voice of Colossus in the motion capture for Colossus in Deadpool and Deadpool 2 and X-Force coming out.
He did confirm that X-Force is coming out.
Oh, so confirmed that X-Force is coming out, and that he will be in it, which also kind of confirms that the snap might have meant Colossus survived the snap too. But we've got that whole panel going to be coming to you guys, so you can watch from very begin to very end of that panel. And I encourage you to watch the entire 45 minutes of it, because the beginning is just a train wreck from the very beginning. You can't see it on the camera, thank God. I could not find the door. I mean, I could find the door, but I went through the wrong door.
So it was a curtain backdrop.
It was a curtain backdrop setup,
and the one that they had parted was like, so it was confusing in itself because they had it curve around and there was a walkway like halfway behind it, but then it like pinched off at the end, so you couldn't get there. You were supposed to go straight through the curtain and then walk along it, but it was very confusing. Even Jason David Frank did it, and I will point that out.
So I walked behind the curtain until I got to the choke off point, and then I was like, fuck, I'm stuck behind this curtain, and was like, blah, and just like surprised through the curtain to like everybody else.
What I think is funny is the fact that you screwed up like a bunch of little times, and it was your first time. So, okay, you didn't do, I don't want to say you did bad, but it was, you had nerves, and those nerves were well-founded, I would say, for the thing. But it was, I think you still did a great job. I've watched part of it now because I was not at the panel very long.
I've watched it 3 times.
Oh, have you?
Yes. I'm not going to toot my own horn. I love it. Like, I love every single part of that. It would not have gone the way it did had I did anything different. And I think that's why I liked it so much. So for those of you guys that are wondering why I'm saying this, you guys know I have a bad time with names. Let's harken back to our interview with Jack O'Halloran, where I repeatedly said that he was in Spider-Man 2, time and time again, when he was in fact in Superman 2, not Spider-Man. So Stefan Kapasik, when I met him, I said, I don't know how I'm going to pronounce your last name. And he's like, why? Like, what problem do you have? And I was like, I don't know how to say it. And he's like, Ka, Pe, Sick. And he's like, I'm like, Ka, Pe, Sick. And he's like, now fast, they're all together. Kapasik. And he's like, good. And I'm like, Kapasik. And he's like, even better, Kapasik. That's how you say it. And I was like, okay. And then I get up on stage and I say, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Colossus, Stephen Ka And then off stage, he just straight up yells, Kapasic. And I was just like, Kapasic. And then he comes running out. And I was, oh man, I knew it was going to happen because I just was like, I'm not comfortable saying this last name. And I'm definitely not going to be able to say it in front of people. But he came out and owned it and was like, thank you for the new last name. And I was like, thank you for not crushing me. I figure we only get 4 or 5 moments. And this was one of my 4 or 5 moments to prove what I could do. And because I screwed up his name, he joked and riffed off of it while we were doing the panel. I joked and riffed off of it while we were doing the panel. And he follows me on Twitter now. So
Nice.
I think it didn't end too terribly. But I think it was an awesome thing. And I encourage all of us, please. I think Project Nerd's going to have it up on their website soon. If not, I think they may have given it to us to post on our stuff.
They've given it to us.
I know, I saw that. So I don't know I would think let's put it on Project Nerd anyways, I thought, and we'll just link to it out to everybody.
Yeah, I think we're gonna upload. I mean, we'll get to the semantics later, but it'll most likely be on YouTube, and then we'll just link to it on Project Nerd.
Yeah. So a couple other people we talked to. Obviously, Veronica Taylor we spoke to, Brittany Karbowski,
Ash Ketchum, Attack on Titan,
and many. And Brittany's does voice acting for many animes.
yes.
And then let's see, we talked
Just
to
acting.
Specifically voice acting. We'll get to that later or never.
Never.
But we talked to let's see, Matthew Wood.
Yep.
We talked to Brian O'Halloran.
Yep.
And
No relation to Jack.
No relation to Jack. We talked to who else did we talk to?
Talked to Michael Copen, which is the blue Power Ranger from Time Force.
Fantastic person.
Yeah, great person.
Can I tell you guys a little inside story that I didn't get to tell either of you guys because I forgot until just now?
We got to hurry it up, though. Let's do it.
No, we don't. This podcast can go just as long. So when I went out to go get celebrity guests to bring them back to do to schedule interviews for us, I got in there really early, and Michael's running around just being weird, just running around but giggling all the time. And I'm just like, dude, what's going on? He's like, you got to see this. You got to see this. I was like, okay. And so this is after our interview with him, we're friends now, I guess. He brings me over. He's like, come on. And then he takes me over to Stephen Kapasic's booth, and all of his pictures have Blue Power Ranger pictures on top of them. And he's like, come here. And he did it to Theo Rossi from
Juice and Shades.
Yeah, and put them all over his thing, and then put them all over. There was one other person who had them all over.
So
there.
was it just little Blue Power Ranger helmets, or was it?
No, it was
pictures?
his pictures, but on top of theirs. And then we together, he was recording as the person came back to their table, and you could just see they get to their table, they're like, the fuck is it? And then he comes from around the corner, he's like, ah, and they're like, ah, and I was just like, this dude is so we talked about it in the thing, he was a big nerd himself, and you go to a comic book convention where you're surrounded by other nerds that you're nerds for, and he's just like, ah,
yeah. One of the things that we've come to learn doing this is that there's a lot of people who have celebrity status who still geek out about other celebrities, which I think is really awesome. Another couple people we talked to, big one, Peter Dante, had a great interview with him.
Should never throw a pong, bro.
He's got great stuff. Well, you can see that interview already is already up on our Facebook page.
It started at 11 and it ended at 11.
Yeah, it was great. He had so much to say, and we were really excited about that. Met Jason David Frank, got to shake his hand. Tons of people and everything like that. So Colorado Springs Comic.
Would you like me to name the list of all the people?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, he deleted it. How dare he?
I was just touching on some of them because I have to go to dinner in 40 minutes.
Oh, okay.
That's why we're on the time crunch.
That's why we're on a time crunch.
Yeah.
Okay, well, my list is gone because Iggy deleted it.
It's okay. So, Colorado Springs was awesome. We'll talk about more about altered reality here in a little bit.
We're also on the Nerdcasts episode for Colorado Springs where we talk about some of these same things as well. So please go check that out on the Nerdcast.
Yep. So Doctor Who season 11, Dale, this is kind of your wheelhouse here.
Yep. I just wanted to touch base on this. You know, it's been talked about for the past year and a half now. Doctor Who is now a female, and it's Jodie Whittaker is the 13th Doctor. She has 3 new companions, tons of trailers out there. We'll probably link to one of them in all of our stuff. Release date is October. Some people are saying October 27th, but BBC has not released anything official.
Have they not? Has she not like made a debut as a Doctor yet?
She has not. Well, that's not technically true. She was in like, you saw her eyes and she kind of like woke up in the last during the Christmas episode when actually Peter Capaldi transformed into Jodie Whittaker.
So she hasn't had like a full episode.
Correct.
So I thought she like it was debuting at that point when we talked about it almost a year ago.
No, it was obviously like teased and stuff, and then they finally did it. Doctor Who transformed into Jodie Whittaker, and now it's her first episode along with 3 new companions will be coming out in late October, maybe early November, depending on what's going on. Probably when we be in Rhode Island.
Nice.
Yep.
Oh, what?
So, Josh, is there any bullshit that you want to talk about?
iPhone iPhone keynote is next week. Possibly Apple Watch, 3 iPhones coming out. Just want to talk about that. Note 9's out. Kind of cool. But just want to throw that out because I'm going to be watching that keynote.
Yeah, I'm excited for the keynote too. Because
if Drew just broke his watch, he's going to be getting a hand-me-down watch here too.
Yeah. Did not, but if you're handing it down, we'll pay for it and Tasha can take it. Anyway, some bullshit I like is let's talk about Switch has some stuff coming out for it. Second Labo constructive box is supposed to be coming out.
Third?
Well, so they have the robot, which is its own separate entity,
Okay.
and then they have the first box, which has a bunch of stuff in it. But then the second Labo is supposed to be coming out for like the Christmas season. They have, obviously, we talked about a bunch of stuff as far as Smash goes, but they got a couple smaller games coming to the Switch that are less than mentionable. But what is the big one that I was looking at is
Kingdom Hearts.
No, not Kingdom Hearts. Oh man, I can't think of it now. They're doing a redoing of a game. Give me a second. But then aside from Nintendo, we're gonna have the Xbox is releasing a new console soon here. It was Luigi's Mansion. They're dropping Luigi's Mansion on Nintendo Switch, which will be really awesome. And then,
by the way, when I put bullshit for Josh and Drew, I put this in a little thing we have online. I actually knew that they were going to say something with the iPhone and something with the Switch. I just knew it. I could just guess.
Well, anyway. The Labo is less than 2 weeks out, apparently.
Ooh.
And let's see. What was it?
Dead Space.
Oh, WarioWare. And then obviously the Nintendo Switch online service is supposed to be dropped before Christmas as well this year. We didn't get to talk about that much this last couple weeks we've been out.
Couple weeks.
Yeah, something like that. Months. So next up is Sciencey News, and we have our Blind Science.
7th Blind Science.
Blind Science.
Blinded by science.
Yeah. All right. So this week's Blind Science question is
Hit me.
a two-parter. And the first one is, Josh, can you list the 6 types of simple machines?
Ooh. Lever, inclined plane, pulley, lever, inclined plane, pulley.
I think you'll get one more if you get any of them.
Screw? Does the screw count?
Yeah, that's the one I thought you'd get.
Okay.
There's 2 more that I don't think you would have gotten.
Oh man. The wheel, rotary,
Wheel and axle. I'll give you that one.
wheel and axle. Okay, so that's 5 of 6. Jeez.
I wouldn't have got the last one either.
God, gravity. I don't know. I'm trying to think of something that would involve like
I
a
don't-
weight falling.
I don't want to put a wedge between you and
Wedge. That's an inclined plane, though.
No.
It's separate.
I know, but they should stop that because it's an inclined plane. I remember having this argument in like 4th grade. I was like, wedge looks just like an inclined plane, and the physics of them are the same too. So fuck them. There's only
Fuck them.
let's
So
Who's them?
whoever came up with this.
Scientists?
Who you saying fuck you to?
Most
So
engineers.
there's a second part of this question, though.
Okay.
And so these are obviously the simple machines, but how do machines make work easier? Or what are the ways that a machine makes work easier?
I'm gonna try to say this so work is change in height. Usually, it's actually, I guess, just change in. It was simple work used to be just change in height when you're in like pre-calc physics. It's change in height is how you calculate the amount of work. In 3-dimensional physics, it's any deviation from one of the axes. Can be you're doing work on something.
What would be the difference between the potential energy and the kinetic energy?
Correct. But I mean, so in like when you're doing work for like electronics, for instance, you have to worry about magnetic torque and things like that because it's in an opposite direction when you're doing work. So I would say the simple machines help to instead of they move the direction of which you need to apply the force to make the work easier. So instead of lifting, so for an inclined plane, for instance, instead of when you're looking at your vectors here for your statics, you're going to have your force vectors in different directions. Instead of pushing straight up, you push at an angle on the inclined plane, which has 2 different vectors that are less. So it reduces your amount of, not necessarily work, because your work's going to be the same if you move the object to the same height regardless, but it decreases the amount of effort you have to put into it.
So based on that mathematic equation in your head that you haven't said out loud, what would make work, I guess, what would increase the amount of work without actually changing anything?
Would increase the amount of work?
What would increase the amount of work?
To change its potential energy.
Okay. Well, there's 3 things that we have listed here that, I mean, what is the equation for work?
Oh, fuck you. Change in height over change in time? No, that's not right.
No.
Change in I don't remember the thing for work now.
So it's the work is a vector, and then it's the dot product of force and displacement.
Okay.
Almost like a torque. Torque is a type of work.
Yes.
So you, in order to make work easier, which would mean increase the amount of work.
To increase the amount of work?
Well, you would increase the amount of work, but the actual person would be doing less of it.
By either increasing the distance that you're displacing things.
So machines make work easier by increasing the force that can be applied to an object or increasing the distance over which a force can be applied, or changing the direction of an applied force.
Hey, I kind of got one of those right.
You got almost one of those right. So, Drew, what do you think? Do you think he got it for this week, or do you think he didn't get it for this week?
So my main
Of
question,
the 7 thing or the 9 things on there.
my main question was specifically the 6 types of machines. He pulled 5 of them out of his ass pretty quickly.
I wouldn't have got wedge.
I probably wouldn't have got wedge. Maybe not. I would have got
stupid incline plane.
I probably wouldn't have got wedge or incline plane. I would have got screw, wheel and axle, pulley, and lever.
To be fair, a screw is also a technical incline plane.
You're not playing that game right now.
I'm just saying.
It's just a wet incline plane wrapped around a pole.
Exactly. It does the exact same work. All 3 of them.
So at the same time, give your thumbs up or thumbs down. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Good for him. He got a thumbs up. So that is 6 for 7.
Whew. That was a tough one, and I love this segment.
Well, that's why he kind of said, it's simple, and he kind of said simple when he said it. Like, this is kind of simple for you to get, Josh, but it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, he said a pun. And I wanted to point that out, but I was just like stone face. I was like, no, don't do it.
Next week, the science of being blind.
Yeah.
Oh wait, that doesn't make it a blind science question, or does it?
That was my joke earlier.
So real quick, we'll finish up with the next 2 things. NASA has a contest right now that will give $1 million to someone who can turn CO2 into glucose for the mission to Mars.
Just want to take a picture of a plant.
Yeah, take a picture of a plant, send it in, and they'll be like, we didn't think of this. Oh my God.
I hope they just give me $1. Like, they're like, almost. Close, but no cigar.
The point is, obviously, they will have a lot of CO2 accumulation on the mission to Mars, and the object is to decrease the amount of CO2 they have and to use it for something other than just spitting it out into space. So,
Dale, can you give me the formula for glucose? Like H
offhand?
Yeah, I don't remember what it is either. That's what
I was like, it's like C6H12O6.
Something like that. I think that's close enough. The reason why I'm asking is just because, I mean, there isn't actually a way to just turn
C6H1 C6H12O6.
Yep. Yeah, Dale.
I pulled that on my ass.
I'm glad. See, blind science for Dale. 1 for 1.
Oh my God, I got that one. I was actually impressed with myself. I'm sorry.
But so the reason being is it's not quite as simple as just like rearranging some carbons and some oxygens to make that. You got to get your H's in there somehow, which, yeah, usually I think
you got to get a lot of H's in there somehow.
Photosynthesis is usually the way to do it, but
photosynthesis.
Photosynthesis. All right, so that's awesome. I wish I had the means to do that, or anybody had the means to do that in this podcast.
Watch me.
All right, Josh.
I hope someone at NASA listens to this.
So,
like, plants? Fuck, why didn't we think of that?
Well, they didn't. So this should be some sad news for everybody, because we're working closely with Project Nerd and going to be doing more with them, and just because the traffic to the site has kind of lulled anyway, starting this month, or this will be the last month, SexyNerdScience.com is up. So it'll be available basically till October 2nd, I think Dale said. So if you want to go take screenshots or, take pictures of you on the website, if you've listened or been a part of it at any point in time, do it now.
We're going to have to retire our T-shirts. They all say SexyNerdScience.com on them.
That's true. They do. Let's leave it up. No, I'm just kidding.
Fuck it. We'll do it live.
We're doing this to decrease costs for us. We've been doing this now for like 4 seasons and a movie, and we really would like to try to cut costs somewhere so we can increase costs in other places. We're working hard with Project Nerd. I mean, Drew kind of said it pretty well already, but we're doing different things with Project Nerd, and we want to do better at those things. And so by doing that, we have to put our time and energy and even money into other things besides upkeep of a website that we see little traffic to. So please, still like us on SoundCloud. We'll still be on SoundCloud at our current location for now, at least. We will be on projectnerd.com, -nerd.com, and we will be on iTunes and all the other places you normally find us. We will just not be on our website. We'll probably have links to everything on the YouTube page still. That doesn't cost us any money. And we'll probably have links on the Project Nerd page and on SoundCloud itself. So, is there anything?
We have our own little section, I think, on Project Nerd's page. Like we'll have our podcast section, and then that's where you can find us on Project Nerd. So we're increasing what we're doing on Project Nerd. So you are going to get more Sexy Nerd Science. And like other things that we're doing. It's just not going to be on our website. So definitely really excited for all the things to come. This is just kind of something that we needed to take care of to make better products for you guys.
It really comes down to economics for us. I mean, updating the site and everything hasn't been getting done. We're really slacking on that just because the traffic wasn't as good to the site, and probably to our own fault. And
we still are looking for editors too, by the way.
We still are, yes. But that being said, we're going to move on to the Sexy Nerd of the Month. We kind of talked to them, spoke about them a little bit earlier in the podcast. But Altered Reality Entertainment is who is going to be our Sexy Nerd of the Month. And that's not to brown nose or anything. We think that it's a great thing that they're doing as far as putting these conventions on. All of the ones that we've seen as far as the lineup that they have, we'll give you a couple of them. I mean, so we did Colorado Springs Comic-Con is obviously one of theirs. They're doing Rhode Island Comic-Con in November of this year, and then they have they have Comic-Con is the one that they've been doing for a couple of years as well in the June timeframe. And then Empire State Comic-Con is April of 2019. And that's their kind of beginning of the year convention. They've got a couple as well that are TerrorCon, the South Coast Toy and Comic Show. I mean, they're Hartford Comic-Con. So, I mean, it's really a bigger setup of conventions that they have. So we're excited to work with them, or we were excited to work with them for Colorado Springs, and hopefully in the future, per our new engagements with Project Nerd and everything. So, but Elijah's part of their team. We met a bunch of those people at Colorado Springs Comic-Con. So they're going to be our Sexy Nerds of the Month. This month we'll definitely see if we can get maybe Elijah to talk with us, or even somebody else from Altered Reality. But I think they'll be great Sexy Nerds of the Month.
Oh yeah, definitely. And again, I wanted to point out one of the things that when we went to Kansas City Comic-Con, RIP, they
RIP every other year.
Yeah, they helped us out a lot by giving us the opportunity to show what we can offer to a convention. And then we turned around and took that. I mean, we probably spent more money going to Kansas City Comic-Con than we did any other convention so far.
On ourselves.
But we spent it on ourselves to make what we offer to you guys better. Altered Realities pretty much gave us that opportunity again here in Colorado, a reinvestment in ourselves and our time. And that's one of the reasons why I'm really excited to make them our Sexy Nerds of the Month, because I think that's huge for us.
And it wasn't only us. I mean, it was the Nerdcast and Project Nerd as well.
Of course.
There's a big thanks to them for even thinking about bringing us on for that and for hopefully future things. But like I said, we're really excited. So they're the Sexy Nerd of the Month, Altered Reality. You guys, thank you guys for listening. You guys can like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram, subscribe and follow us on YouTube. Josh, you want to tell them where they can listen?
You can listen to us on SoundCloud.com, iTunes, TuneIn, or Podcast Addict, or pretty much almost anywhere else where you can find great podcasts.
ProjectNerd.com.
ProjectNerd.com, yes.
Or Project-Nerd.com. Dale, where can we get some of our merch stuff?
Merch.
Well, right now you can go to Teespring and in any of the links below and get a t-shirt with our logo on it. You can also support us on Patreon. Don't know if that's live yet. You can also find us on Audible. Go to audibletrial.com/SexyNerdScience.
Our Patreon is coming, so we've got some Project Nerd news with Patreon that we'll be talking about later.
So the Patreon may wait till 2018 or 2019. It'll be a 2018 post for 2019. But we appreciate you guys so much. Thank you guys for always checking in with us. And anybody who wants to edit some stuff, get at us.
Please send all resumes for editors to
SexyNerdScience. Contact at SexyNerdScience.com. Oh, the contact's not going to work. SexyNerdScience@gmail.com.
That's our old original one.
Glad we didn't put our contact stuff on our business cards or anything.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.